Well, the Kerala State Commission for Protection of Child Rights has suggested conversion of all educational institutions in Kerala State into co-ed schools by next academic year. So all girls or all boys schools may become a thing of the past soon in the state of Kerala, as the Commission for Protection of Child Rights has urged the state government that there should be only co-ed education institutions in the southern state from the academic year 2023-24. The Commission has ordered for a detailed report on the implementation of co-education system within 90 days.
Now that an order has been sent, from your side to the General Education Department on completely, stopping gender-exclusive schools, boys and girls schools, and you are now looking for, co-educational schools or mixed schools. Could you tell us your intention and what are you trying to tell the society on this?
Our aim is to give a message to the society to eradicate the gender differences between boys and girls. But this is only a recommendatory in nature. That's not a order. This is only a direction to the government to implement the project to eradicate the gender differences among our boys and girls. Our aim is to protect the constitutional right to equality and before law, and right to equality anywhere in the society.
To give us details about this advisory, I'm joined by my colleague Vivek right now. Vivek, what is the rationale offered by the state child rights body for this recommendation? All right, we'll try and reconnect with Vivek there. But as of now, this is the big update from the state of Kerala, where the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights has suggested, remember, this is an advisory where they've asked all the educational institutions in Kerala to convert to co-ed, which means the all boys or all girls concept in Kerala will soon be a thing of the past. Now, of course, they've also set a deadline that this needs to be implemented, or rather the implementation, of course, will be from the next academic year. But as of now, they've asked for a detailed report within the next 90 days. Vivek is back with us. Vivek, over to you.
That's right. The Child Rights Commission chairperson has now sent a recommendatory order to the General Education Department saying that general, exclusive schools for boys and girls needs to be changed, and they are looking for co-education. Remember, there are 444 gender exclusive schools in Kerala, which includes both government as well as from the private sector. This also includes the aided and the unaided schools. Now, when I spoke to Mr. Manoj Kumar, who is the chairman of the Child Rights Commission, he said that it is after a petition that's been filed by a social activist based in Kollam that they have taken this issue very, very seriously. Remember, the LDF government has been excuse me, the LDF government has been extremely progressive when it comes to education sector. Remember the gender sensitive uniforms that's been implemented a year ago by the education department has won a lot of accolades and been supported by various activists and people across the spectrum. Now, on this line, a completely radical move by the education department. Now, remember, this is a recommendatory suggestion, a recommendatory order, and what we understand is that, the LDF government, especially the CPM leaders, are supportive of this move. But before that, they need to have deliberations, they need to have talks with parents, teachers, parents, coordination committee, and also various stakeholders need to be taken into account before implementing this. The government is very, very serious about this, and they want to implement this by 2023, which is the next academic year. Now, also there is a committee that's been formed, and the 90 days they're supposed to submit a report on this. Now, there are 3 members in this: the SCERT director, the General Education, director and also the vice president of the general education department. So 3 people are included in this. So basically, after the recommendations, the government will move forward to decide, as how they have to implement this. The education minister, V. Shivankuti, has said that this cannot be implemented on one day. It needs time, it needs deliberations, it needs discussions, and a lot of discussions needs to be done before this has been implemented, because they know that there is going to be resistance from the side of various fundamentalistic groups. Especially remember when the gender-sensitive uniform was introduced, various organizations, including the Jamaat-e-Islami, had opposed it, but the government decided to move ahead. The biggest question here is that if at all a student from a private institute does not want to opt it, if the parent does not want to send his ward to such an school, what does he do? So basically, they're saying that they should be given an option, to choose as where they can go. So all these things has to be discussed, and after that, the government has decided to go ahead with this. And after that, in 2023, the government is seriously looking to implement a complete co-education ecosystem in Kerala, where there won't be any school which is exclusively for boys or exclusively for girls. It is going to be a complete co-education schooling system in Kerala.
Correct. So while there is, you can see, backing from the government, a final decision is yet to be made, considering that this is just a recommendation by the child rights body there. And of course, it needs due deliberation and discussion, because we're talking about gender and education. Both are very sensitive topics. Thank you so much, Vivek, for getting us those details. Now, to discuss this issue further, I'm joined by Professor Tanvir Aeijaz, who's a columnist and academician. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to Mirror now. What, according to you, are the pros and cons of mixed or co-ed education? Now, the Child Rights Panel says it's an attempt to incorporate gender equality in schools, saying it would instill mutual respect. Even the petitioner here has argued that gender justice was denied in exclusive schools. Do you think there is merit in this argument? And again, what are the pros and cons of co-education? Mr. Aeijaz, can you hear me?
So much. Am I audible? Because
yes, you are.
Computer says.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me? Am I audible right now?
Yes, Mr. Aeijaz, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Right. So at the outset, right. So yeah, at the outset, I think let me try to congratulate the Kerala government for coming up, particularly the commission for coming up with such kind of a progressive recommendation. It is not, of course, a conservative recommendation. It's a progressive recommendation, which entails that, the boys and the girls must study together in order to understand the gender differences, and in order to also understand the gender sameness. The differences and the sameness can be understood when they come together, when they stay together, when they learn together, when they understand everything, when they come to the real world. So after all, a school is not isolated from a society. School must give, or the school must portray the real world, what is existing outside, so therefore, when girls and boys, they stay together, they study together, it's basically also discussing and promoting diversity. In a society we find diversity, so we have different kinds of diversities. So once you segregate schools in terms of gender, perhaps the gender diversity cannot be understood properly, and the school must be a place where diversity can be understood.
So according to you, it promotes harmony and diversity indeed there, Mr. Aeijaz. But what do you think would be the challenges here? Shouldn't such transformations be taken after taking parents into confidence? More importantly, can schools actually manage to modify their infrastructural conditions in time to facilitate a co-ed environment? Because we're talking about completely changing an all boys or an all girls school to a co-ed school, which means you'll also have to segregate your washrooms. Even certain certain infrastructural conditions will have to also be transformed.
That's right. In fact, the first feminist, if I can say, Mary Wollstonecraft, when she demanded the rights for women. In her book called Vindication of the Rights of Women, she demanded for co-ed schools. So I know the challenges are quite huge. There is a
All right, there seems to be a connection
involved in
issue.
this to have an ecosystem which will have structure. Of course, infrastructure, of course, is one, but the majorly, I mean, the teachers come from the society, the with a lot of stereotypes, the
Okay, we'll try and reconnect with Mr. Aeijaz there, but then that is what you heard it from the academician and also the columnist. Mr. Aeijaz had to say that, of course, he is in favor of changing or transforming the all-boys and all-girls school in Kerala into a co-education school, saying that it promotes harmony, it promotes diversity, it does help students in the holistic development where they learn mutual respect between genders and, of course, also helping in the all-round development of a student in the classroom. Well, we'll try and reconnect with Aeijaz, because right now, remember, it's not just about, what the child rights body wants, what their suggestion is, but also who we need to take into account is the parents. It's also about the choice. Mr. Aeijaz is back with me. Mr. Aeijaz, do you think that such gender-based policies, especially in education, should be forced upon a person by the state? Don't you think that such matters like where I want to study or who I want to study with should rather be a personal choice there?
Yeah, I mean, I agree to a certain extent that the choice of the study is a personal choice, but at the end of the day, the schools the study in the schools have a lot of ramifications for the society. So therefore, I mean, the personal choice is fine, but if we do the cost-benefit analysis of the policy, if a personal choice gives more harm to the society, of course, we need not go in for that kind of a policy. So my contention is very simple, that now the debate has started. And of course, I congratulate the Commission's chairperson that he has kicked off the debate and the discourse about co-ed education. I think this was the debate which was held in US and Europe in 18th and 19th century. And of course, in a massive way in Europe, also in 1970s, 60s, and US also, they converted most of the schools into co-ed schools. And a lot of the studies also say this, that a co-ed school performs much better than a segregated school. The study also say that, psychologically, your co-ed school, the boys and the girls are more adept in challenging the sexism which is existing in this society. I know it's a huge challenge for school administration, in fact for university administration also. At this point in time in universities also, we see colleges only for women. So therefore, I think for a good society, of course, we always think about good society. For a good society, you see, the whole understanding of the notion of equality, which brings in the choices of liberty, right? It's not the other way around. Liberty will never bring in the choice of equality, but it is the equality that brings in the choices of liberty and freedom. So I think it's very, very important for girls to understand the notion equality and of course fight for equality. It also prepares the students for, as I'm telling you, to understand the real world. I mean, it's not only just feminism. The boys also need to understand. It's the problem.
Right.
In a co-ed school, boys also try to understand the girls, of course. All boys school, they have a problem. They have a problem and there's a whole lot of curiosity, anxiety, distraction. So I think it's very good step, and of course,
so it is a good step indeed, according to you, as you put it out there, that it is liberty that fosters choice and not the other way around. Thank you so much, Mr. Tanvir Aeijaz, for sparing your time and sharing your valuable inputs. Thank you so much.